everybody. It's Gerald. I'm here with Comics Cast Let It Out on a beautiful November 21st, and I'm just so happy to be here on the show because we've had a little bit of a technical hiccup this morning, but we're going to power through it. If you've noticed that I am the only one here today, I want everybody to send a message quickly to my wonderful co-host, Rick. He's experiencing a power outage in Denmark, so don't exactly know what caused that. I guess maybe he had too many appliances plugged in. I don't know. Maybe that shorted out something. But please send him a quick message and let him know that we miss him here on Let It Out this Sunday. So that being said, I also want to do a shout out to my little sister. Her birthday is today. So happy birthday to my little sister, Renelle. And let's just get to the rest of the show. So today we have two really, really exceptional guests. I've been looking forward to hosting them on the show. They were referred to by Rick, coincidentally, but Rick can't be here. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that we get as many eyes on them. And that being said, I just want to also mention what Comics Cast is all about. So Comics Cast is all about the indie creator and the indie community. If you're in the if you're an indie creator, whether you're an inker, an author, a writer, a penciler, a publisher, we want to get you on the show. We want to get eyes on you, and we want to spread the word about what your contributions to the community are. And these two creators, they're no exception. Very, very, very talented. But let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping here on Comics Cast End. And if you check out this URL, this is our YouTube page, and we definitely want to get likes and follows there. So if you take a moment, check that out. And I'm going to share that screen real quick. And if you check it out here, Rick's gonna miss this. This is what I would like to say is our plethora of videos here. So if you can check this out, we have quite a variety. We have a library of videos. This includes all of our past Let It Out episodes, as well as Rick's mentor block, and also Joe's two shows. He did a Inside the Indie Community or Inside the Artist Studio, as well as his new brand spanking new show, which is called The Process, which gives an insight to all sorts of little different things that are processes within the indie community. He had a great show with Kid, which is Keithan, basically talking about the building a brand if you're an indie creator. So definitely check that out. You can see we have a plethora. I'm going to say it again, plethora of videos. So check that out. We would love for you to like and subscribe. Follow us there on YouTube. So enough of that. Let me get that out of the way. And let's get to the meat and potatoes of the show, which is our guest today. So without further ado, let me welcome Mr. Jaime Ramos and Moti Friedman. How you guys doing?
Hi. Hey, I'm still going to call you Jor-El, father of Superman. Call me, no way around it.
Yeah, dude, there's no way around that. So
it means the mouth of God.
Is that what it means?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, that's something new for me to find out. Yeah, I had no shortage of Jor-El jokes when I was growing up, so I will forever be known as the father of Superman. But it is a pleasure to have you guys both on the show today. Let me move myself down here to the bottom because I want to make sure that it's not working. There we go. That way we can make sure that you guys get top billing here on Comics Cast.
We're rolling both of us up, so that makes sense.
Exactly. So here we go. I changed the scrolling ticker at the bottom. This is how you can follow on Facebook Moti and Jaime. They are primarily there on Facebook, so that's there's no Twitter, there's no email, there's no websites. Just go follow them on Facebook. They're both extremely talented individuals, and we're going to learn a little bit more about where they've come from, their own creative journeys.
My mother would love you.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'm going to make sure that I plug everything about you guys because you guys are tremendous talents and worthy of that honor in terms of being here on the show. So that being said, let's move to the first part of the show, which is called the elevator pitch. And for our audience, our new audience members, if you I just realized I haven't paid attention to the comments. So before we get to the elevator pitches, let me just throw up some comments here. We got Vic, who's the newest addition to Comics Cast. He says their power plant is made out of Legos. Good luck, man. I guess he was referring to Rick's power outage. So yeah, that's kind of that's a really cool talk. Yeah, it's a pretty funny comment. We got Ed Williams here saying, "What's up, Comics Cast crew? Inspiration." And then
thanks, Ed.
here I got Vic telling me that I'm gonna rock. Yeah, it's easy to rock on this show when I got great guests.
Oh,
you're being modest.
Here we go. And then we got here Roy, who's our he's my brother from another mother in the Philippines. He's saying, "Oh yeah!" So we got already the comment field lighting up here. So just like I said, let's go ahead and start the elevator pitch. So elevator pitch, what exactly is that? That is basically if you were an aspiring creative and you were in an elevator with one of your comic idols. Like, let's say for me, if I was jumped in an elevator and I found out Jim Lee was there and I had to like pitch something about me so that I could get in good and maybe let him know who I was and what I was about. That's kind of like what we're going to do here on Let It Out. But the difference is that you guys will have more than one floor to talk about yourselves because we want to hear your creative journeys. So let's kick this off and let's talk to Marty first. Because Marty comes all the way from Israel, and I want to
That's right.
to
it's 8 o'clock at night right now.
And, international representation. All right, so the mic is in your hands, Marty. Tell us about yourself.
So just a little bit about myself. I started mostly as a writer, and then I started drawing a bit. I did Upside Down World with my wife, Dr. Noga Friedman. It's a world where the images are, you can spin them around and get the other images. And then I did some work with Dan Berger, some IP work in comics when he was the managing editor of Heavy Metal. Dan taught me really a lot, especially storytelling and lettering. He taught me how to letter well, which is an art unto itself. Then I started doing some comic books and short stuff. And right now, just to keep it short, I'm doing some work for Marcosia, which is a UK independent publisher, kind of like Image, a bit smaller. But in the UK, they have over 400 IPs, and I hope Harry, the publisher, will be on this show. He doesn't know yet, but I'll send him this so that he can see that I'm going to ask him. What I'm working on a book, not a comic book, a novel that I'm illustrating called Ancient Diary of Mars. We're doing an anthology in which basically I'm writing, being an artist myself, I'm writing for my artist friends. So I basically ask them what they like to draw, and they tell me, and I write a story especially for them, and we do it together, and it's a whole lot of fun. And hopefully starting a new comic book. My objective is to make the process much faster. But and one of the beautiful things is, speaking that I'm from Israel, I've done work on comic books with friends that are from Brazil and the States and England, and I'm working with people all over the world. And one of the people I met online actually was Jamie. Take it from here, Jamie.
Yeah. All right. Elevator pitch from Jamie. So,
well,
go ahead.
It's nice to meet all of you who are watching, and I want to say happy birthday to Gerald's sister, and to Rick. Sorry you can't be here. I was really looking forward to meeting you online, but we understand.
What are you talking about? Good riddance to him. We don't need him. He's a dear friend. He'll forgive me.
Oh my goodness. And basically, I'm an award-winning writer of prose, stories, and novels. I'm an editor for Airship 27 Productions and a writer for Pro Se Publications. I'd like to give a shout out to Ron Fortier and to Tommy Hancock. Both of these guys got me hooked up into the New Pulp movement. And New Pulp is very similar to comic books. Pulp and comic book characters almost ran hand in hand at the turn of the century in the 20s and the 30s. So I've got experience writing prose and comic books, and I'm currently working on a project called John Heller, the Liberator.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to actually dig deep into that. In fact, that's one of the that's going to be
just
one
for
of
the record.
subjects.
I'm the cover artist on this amazing book. John Howard, he's our penciler and inker. Amazing line artist. His storytelling is just superb. I'm blown away by it. And I have to say that all what I'm going to draw today from the Liberator, the credit mostly goes to Jamie and especially to John, which couldn't be here. He was in Denmark and there was a power shortage, but we won't get into that.
Just so you know that John hails from, I believe it's the UK, right? So
Yeah.
we got an international cast here.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
John couldn't be on the show, but he's actually a major contributor, major player to this particular project. And here we have this John Heller, the Liberator cover that Marty did. But before I get to that, I wanted to share this little bit about when Jamie was being so humble in terms of what his accomplishments are. I look at this photo and I found this. He posted this I guess a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and I was like, Jamie is also a talented musician. This is his band. Do you want to talk about this? This is circa what year was this picture taken?
probably about 15 years ago. This is my old band, Whiskey Dick's Hotel. We used to do comedic rock, similar to Tenacious D, and I was the lead singer.
So I could see you totally rocking out and doing that whole comedic routine. Maybe we can get Jamie to bust out his guitar and maybe he can do some Nacho Libre on the side. I don't know. We'd love to see what kind of things he could do. But yeah, it's so awesome to hear that a lot of our guests are multi-talented. Aside from being creatives in the indie community doing comic related things, Jamie is no exception. He not only does that, he's a musician. And I'm gonna have to dig up some video. I couldn't do it quick enough, but I'm sure there's some YouTube video out there. So if we have any performances featuring the great Jaime Ramos and his band, please send it to me because I want to.
Oh my goodness!
I want to partake in all that fun.
Now this is a family show. I'm not certain you want that video on there, buddy.
Okay, that'll be for my own personal enjoyment. But hey, let's talk about the Liberator. So here we got it. Okay, so this is a good prelude into our live drawing. So hint, that's what we're going to be drawing for our very first one.
Right.
And we already got some love here. We got some people here saying, "I love the art." And then we got Saeed, who's a ardent supporter of Comics Cast. He's always on the show talking to our guests. He says hello.
Hi, Saeed.
Yeah, Saeed he's from the I want to say Dubai or somewhere in the Middle East. And
wow,
you guys. And then we had Sarah, who was on here, was on our show too, and she's from Egypt. So like I said, we're touching all the continents here. But let's talk about John Heller and the Liberator. Before we get into those details, let's talk about how you guys met. Marty threw the mic back to Jamie to talk about about them collaborating on this. The two of you, do you want to talk about how you assembled this team to create John Heller, the Liberator?
Okay. Well, I came up with the concept in my mind, and I put out a Facebook ad and was contacted by John Howard and hired him, and we started working on the concepts. And Moti and I were already friends. We've been friends on Facebook for quite a while, and I've respected his work and admired his artwork. And he and I have always talked about doing something together. We're not quite sure what that's going to be, but we've always had something in the back of our mind. Right.
I would read Jamie's stuff and say, "Is a writer my feedback," or vice versa. So we moved things along. I showed him some art. He said, "Yeah, this is good, but you could do better here." And it was fun.
And he also gave me some good feedback on my script writing. And so while we were coming up with the concept for John Heller, the Liberator, I sent some of the concepts to Marty, and he gave me his feedback on it, and then said basically at some point he would like to do the cover, which is excellent because he's an excellent cover artist.
I'll have to agree with you 100%. I'm zooming in here because I want our audience to see why Jamie worked with. I've been calling you Marty, but it's Moti.
Marty's fine. Everybody calls him Marty.
I've been mispronouncing.
I told you, if you feel comfortable to call me Dr. Friedman if you feel any.
Oh yeah, we'll just call you the doctor. We'll call you the doctor.
Yes, that's fine.
but yeah, you can just you can see why Jamie, their friendship goes back longer than since this comic book is still in production right now. But they've been friends for many years, and they're both writers, talented writers. Marty can he can keep one foot in the writing world and one foot in the artistic world.
I put a lot of effort in the last few years to get better at drawings in general, and also in storytelling. Because, by the way, what I love about Jamie, he's a very visual writer, and I explain what I mean. If you see the way he gave John Howard space to write and to tell the story, a lot of writers, what they do is they think that you're not measured by word. If for example, if a writer says to the artist, now draw somebody shooting, and the writer still wrote, but you don't need to have a caption saying that a lot of shots were fired, right? So, well, Sarah's talking about dynamic poses. Sarah, I promise I'll show you how to do it afterwards when we draw a bit. I'll talk to you about dynamic poses.
Yeah,
it's a weakness I had, and anyone can work on it. It's about creating flow. We talked about it yesterday. So everybody also know Joel prepared us yesterday. He puts in a lot of time so that these shows succeed.
Some would say that I put too much time into the pre-shows, but
it's important.
It's all because I want to show our guests. I want to put them in the best light and be able to really effectively showcase their talents. And while we're talking about this cover, because we're gonna show a tease of some interior pages that John Howard, the interior artist, did. And before we get to that, I just wanted to show this because this is what Jamie really gravitated to, and this is what I gravitated to when I saw Marty's work, is that the thought that goes into this particular piece. And I'm going to let Marty talk about it, but just the things that I immediately mentioned was just the dynamic foreshortening here. Because if you don't pull it off correctly, it looks wrong. It looks wonky. It looks bad. And Marty, It's like, who would have thought to do this really extreme perspective of this foot? I mean, if you don't do it right, it just looks like he has a big foot coming out of the lower part of his body. Well, you have to do it so well.
We have to give credit where creditors due. I'm a big fan of Jack Kirby. I'm not nuts about his anatomy, but his storytelling, his foreshortening is superb. And the mistake that I see with a lot of young artists, what they do, they make the foot too big, or the fist too big. It's a balance. And Joe Kubert said, if it looks wrong, it's wrong. So what you should do is look at it, leave it. If you want to be sure, there's the way our mind works is it takes about 2 days for the working memory, it used to be called short term, to go into the long term. So it becomes part of us. So if you leave something for 2 days, you come back fresh to it. So one of my suggestions to young artists is draw something. It looks great because you're in it. You don't see the mistakes then. It's also good to have somebody else look at it. But sometimes just leave it for 2 days and come back fresh and say, oh my God, I made a foot too big or too small. So so the balance here, I played quite a lot with it. And as I told you yesterday, the most work on this drawing was drawing that shoe inside.
Yeah, I have to say that.
And both shoes, actually.
Yeah, that is such a good these are the nuggets of pro tips that you're going to get from my guests here on the show. That whole psychological perspective that Marty mentioned about, I think everybody's kind of said, hey, sometimes when you reach that creative block, whether it's writing or drawing or anything, it's like taking that step away. And then when you just broke it down from a psychological, biological perspective, that makes so much more sense, where the temporary mind versus the longer lasting memory, terms.
Yeah.
I think that's just a great. You are the doctor. He's basically he's like totally talking about that. Yeah, I totally like that. And we got just based on what you were talking about, we had some comments here. We got Sarah mentioning, there we go. How can you train the eyes to determine the details of how small or large in a dynamic pose? You want to answer that one?
That's good. First of all, always close your eyes a little bit so that you don't see the details. If you go like this with your eyes and you don't see the detail, the mistake I see with most young artists or aspiring artists, which I used to make as well, is you go into detail right away. So you have to plan out. Now, if you can see, I put a lot of time in planning the structure of this drawing. I planned out the colors. I'll give you an example. The colors here are complementary: blue and orange. These are the main colors. I did the logo here. The design of the logo is mostly mine, with a little bit of help, but this is my work. And if you notice there's basically 4 colors here, you could say. There's orange, there's blue, black, and white, and there are variations. But black and white, they don't count. So, for example, just so you'll know, I put some of those bullets in, so there'll be a little bit of more orange. I made one of the buildings orange in the background, so there'll be a balance. Now, the rule when you do complementary colors on the color wheel is they shouldn't be the 50-50. One should be more dominant. Now, the color that Jamie wanted, the design here is John Howard's, right?
Yes.
This is his great design. So, Jamie had some sketches done initially by other artists, and he gave it to John, and he took it from there. So the colors and everything's here. Even the gun that I put in, a lot of detail that you want the eye to focus. Now, if you notice, 2 things stick out: his foot and his head. There's a lot of details, and this is not a high quality res thing, but there's, like, if you notice the gun, it has a lot of details, but nothing is in white. The reason I didn't make it too much white, if had I put more light there, it would catch your eye, and I wanted to be there with smoke and everything and all the detail. One thing I love about the design, he has 2 ropes. So he's not jumping holding 1 rope. There's one in his back. This is, again, an amazing. And if you think about it, it makes more sense if he's doing something, because when you do snapping something, you do jump with 2 ropes. So you made it very realistic. And so you have to just plan ahead. And, structure is everything. And maybe afterwards I'll show when we're drawing. I'll show structure and why it's important. But it's always the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff here I learned from Bob McLeod, my mentor, who taught me a lot. Jay-Z Jones taught me a lot, but Bob McLeod taught me the most. Even recently, I got feedback from Bob Blayton on a piece of my art. He said,
"Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, he corrected my art. Yeah, Bob's a legend. They're all great. And one of the things I think about the comic book industry, and I'm sure Jamie will agree, you meet a lot of very kind people.
Oh yeah.
You know what? You're not going to get rich from comic books. I hope I will, but the rest of the people won't get rich from comic books. But so far, it's not happening. So it's if you're doing comic books because you love doing comic book, and I saw somebody write about structure. That's right. Structure is critical. If you mess up the structure, nothing will work.
Exactly. I think that is such a good point. Structure is the foundation. It's kind of like also learning the fundamentals, because when you learn the fundamentals, that's when you can either push them further or you can break them all together to make a more effective, eye-catching thing. And I think what you mentioned there about the gun, your whole color theory based on why you lit it the way that you did is because it's important to ground this illustration in reality by giving him a realistic weapon. But that's not the center. That's not what you want people to focus on. So that's why you didn't have to light it as intensely as the center that you want to draw.
Bob McLeod, by the way, who has a great book, you should guys approach him on making comic books. Very unique. But he's got, shout out to Bob. But Bob taught me there's foreground, middle ground, and background. And I agree with somebody says it. If you're making a mistakes in the foundation, so I have to decide. So the foreground is obviously the foot and the glass. The middle ground is the guy, and the background is the building. Now, if I didn't put the white behind the guy and made the sort of the building disappear, not focus, if you noticed, they would have had a lot of focus on them. So you have to think about all of it before you start. And when I was a kid, what I would do, I would start to draw one eye. And it would be perfect, and the other eye, but they wouldn't fit. They wouldn't be correct, and all of a sudden you run out of place. So you have to plan ahead, and you have to leave place. If you guys notice, there's a really dark background behind the logo, which is in white. That's on purpose.
Yes.
So everything is planned. I planned places and there's left space up top that we could add other name, the colorist and the letter. I'll add that later. I won't add myself. My signature is there. That's enough. But everything is planned, and as anyone can see, I used a lot of references here. I looked at a lot of references, not copied them. I'll show you afterwards when I draw, but I used a lot of references for bullets, for buildings, for shoes, for the reference for glass, for everything. But you put them together in a unique way if you know how to draw. Otherwise, it's not copying an image.
Speaking,
so true. Yeah, go ahead,
Jamie. Technically, about the character. I have a contact who will remain anonymous, who's actually a government operator. What does
Ooh.
that mean? He actually does counterintelligence for the
Uh-huh.
United States government. Now, obviously, the Liberator is a fantasy character doing fantasy heroic things, but there's a lot of
Mhm.
things about this character that are based in reality, like the UMP 45 that he's using right now.
That's right.
That's a real gun. They use it. It's probably more heavy caliber than what you want, but for a comic book, it's great. The clothing, realistic. Some of the tactics he uses,
Yeah.
some of the
Mhm.
verbiage, all that. I mean, I've really went deep on this.
Yeah, and I think
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
goes to show the levels of that both Jamie and Marty are doing in terms of bringing the authenticity.
And John,
Using
the
references.
credit mostly.
Yeah, yeah. What?
It's great that
Right.
you give me all this credit, but most of the credit of the visuals goes to John. I used his. Even now, when
Uh-huh.
we're going to draw John Hiller, I'm going to put one of his pictures up, the one I used, and
Yes.
everything you see. There's a gun on his body, and there's pouches, and this is stuff that
Mhm.
was really, really well planned. And long shoes, and there's things that protecting. Some of the stuff they're there, like things protecting his knees. They're there if you look
Yes.
at my drawing, but I didn't make them stick out. They're not. The focus should be on the head. If
Hmm.
I made everything stick out, there's some areas that the drawing should breathe. If you look like the top right, there's not a lot of detail. Another
Uh-huh.
mistake I see is people put detail everywhere. If there's details everywhere, the eye does not have where to rest.
Yes, and that's
So
so
there's
important. And this is what I like about you guys' appearance today is because we're getting a lot of. It's not only getting to see a lot of good art and hear the story behind John Heller, but we're getting some technical advice and what Marty is really hyping on is really how do you effectively draw the eye of the audience. Where you can choose to put the detail, where to put the detail, and therefore making an effective composition. And I think, Marty, before we go into the interior, I wanted to talk one last thing before we go into there about this particular piece is just your choice of, because when I look at this, it looks so 3D. It looks so three-dimensional. Everything about the glass and even the way that you chose the perspective in terms of the buildings. You could have picked any different way to like put the background, but you chose to make it from the worm's eye up. And
that's right.
those buildings actually help frame the composition even more. And that's part of your planning, right?
Exactly. What I told you yesterday, there's line of action that create flow, but there's action lines in comics. Those two lines that go when somebody gives a punch, you see two lines behind them. Uh,
Yes.
you know, uh, like Joe Quesada, I don't like it. I don't like them. Joe also tries to avoid them, and so do I.
Hmm.
So I try to create something. So how do I create lines? How do you create motion? It's a static image, and
Yes.
there's so again, this is going back to what Bob McLeod taught me: foreground, middle ground, background. And another thing you do, another good technique is to do. Mike Carlin once saw Marty and said, "Go look in Joy Lucia Garcia, who's an amazing artist for DC, if you know him, Lopez, and he's got a long name, but he's one of the best artists ever. And if you see what he does is you do black, white, black, white. I'm playing with perspectives. If you
Yeah.
want to see, there's Frazetta did it with horses. There's an image that you can really see. He does black, white, and you create depth that way. So I'm playing and this fish, but from a warm eye view. Yeah. So, Sarah, yes, it's a warm eye view of a bit, not fisheye. It's classical perspective here. If you guys look, it's basically it's as if you're standing you're lying on your back and you're looking up. And if you look
Yeah.
carefully, he broke the glass of the. So that's a question you raised: is he breaking new glass, or is the glass from the window falling with him with all the bullets he already shot?
Hmm.
And again,
When I got this image from him, I got an initial image. It only took him a couple of weeks to do this cover, and it looks like he's been working on it for months. I was blown away. I showed some of my buddies who I'm close to. I'm like, look at this. and they loved it. They were just like, it looks cinematic. There's great storytelling. This tells us everything we want to know about who the Liberator is.
I couldn't agree more. And that's, what Marty was doing with this is it's like it creates enough visual interest to like one get you to pick up the book, read to the interiors, and that's another thing too is that Marty is very sensitive in terms of who the interior artist is, because he mentioned that John Howard is the interior artist. So he's, I guess, playing proper homage to the interior artist, making sure
that it's not that. You have to understand. The design here is his. So we'll go through his pages, and of course I got all the pages that exist. And Jamie will tell you about the story, but I'll show you what he did. And I saw the costume, and the drawing is not, of course, 3D. Sometimes I did use 3D models to draw stuff. Not in this case. I just drew everything. But the design of the costume was amazing. He put a lot of thought into it, and I had to nail it. And so the shoes and everything, the credit goes to him, not to me. And if you go to the next one, the people can see it.
Right. All right. So let's dig deep into this part of it, because John isn't here on the show, but we're going to make sure that we talk him up here. So Jamie, you got Marty to help you out. Now you got John, who answered the call to do some interior pages for you. So let's talk this up. I don't know exactly what the process was, like what he showed you first to get him to sign on to your project, but let's tell that story. How did you meet John? And let's talk about this type of art style.
I put a Facebook ad looking for an artist, and said, send me your samples and rates. And got a response by about 50 different artists. And I wanted an artist that could work in black and white and who had a visceral idea of what Heller the Liberator is all about. And from looking at John's samples, I knew he was the right guy for the job. So I contacted him. We had a chat online, and threw our ideas together. I had part of the script ready for him to jump on. We talked. I gave him a email full of ideas of what I wanted Heller to look like and how to move and all of that sort of thing, and what the splash page was going to be, and he took it from there. I mean, he's very intuitive about my script. Is very basic. My script is not Alan Moore. It basically, I try to give the creator room to create. I don't ask for a lot of changes. I try to let John breathe life into what he's doing. So in saying that, John was able to really interpret what the script was saying.
Yeah, and I just can't get over this when I look at this, and I'm sure Marty feels the same way. I get so much. This has such a '90s action vibe to it. I could totally see Stallone, like, not that Stallone looks like John Heller here, but I could see like this being like that kind of.
You said that
action,
you do.
Comic.
You should be the star of the movie.
So
you even have the hat and everything.
Yeah, well, we'll have to talk to Jamie about that a little later.
Could you go back to the previous one, and may I say something about it?
Yes, let's do that.
So
do you want me to zoom in?
First of all, I want to show young artists the storytelling here, and look at the amazing detail of the city behind.
Yes.
But he left the white behind, so everything breathes, and the way he did it dark, he's pushing John Heller to the front. Mm-hmm. And look at the glasses. I know these drawings so well because I was looking at them all the time when I was drawing my piece. I got these before they were the lettering, so I used them. But look, so go down to the next one. So if you look, just go a little bit up. You see that there's two lines. One is in front of the glass. Now, a colorist. We're looking for a colorist, by the way. So if there's a good colorist, we're being published by Marcosia. So if there's a good colorist, they should contact us, Jamie specifically. But he's the boss. But now look what he does storytelling wise. Make the whole picture that we can see everything.
Let me zoom out.
Yeah. Zoom out a bit. Now look. look how he's using the buildings in a way to just push your eye. And what I did want to do in my cover, for example, is have him shooting like this, because Jamie said, "Are you going to have him shooting?" I said, "No, I'm not going to have him shooting." And he was worried, what is he doing? This guy's shooting. But if I would do shooting, I would be imitating John. And John, look at the superb how the flow is, and with the lettering, they created a flow that goes left to right and just sends you very visceral. And as we discussed yesterday, we had a nice chat yesterday. You can tell when the artist is having fun, and it's clear that he's having fun here. So much detail, but he lets things breathe, and there's a lot of thought that goes into everything. So he just pulls you in the story right away.
I also want to give a shout out to my letterer. Her name is Nikki Sherman. She took this job on short notice, and I was putting my pages together because Moti had introduced me to Harry Marcos, and I was still trying to letter it at the time, and it just turned out like junk. So I contacted Nikki Sherman, and she was like, "Yeah, I can do it, no problem." So she did the lettering, and she's been a great compliment to the team.
I couldn't agree more. Marty's analysis here. This, when you look at this, what makes this an effective shot? A composition, and establishing shot. Making sure that it doesn't get so muddied with all the details about the city there, but you get to know where it's at. And I like how he creates that depth. It's black and white right now, but you have the darkest city in the background as it goes forward. It starts illuminating the character there at the top. And then I just like how he actually warped it a little bit. It's not technically a fisheye lens, but I like how he warped the building.
That's amazing. I love that.
It creates that greater sense of motion, because you could do straight up verticals or diagonals. But by him putting out a little bit of a curve, it's a static image, but it implies that motion. It adds more energy to it.
Amazing. So much thought and love put into this.
Yeah,
Wow.
John's got a really strong resume. John Howard, he's got a really strong resume of work. I can't go through the whole thing with you right now, but he's an established pro. And the thing I like about him is he's very, very easy to work with. John, he gets it. He understands the grittiness and the detail that I'm going for. And without the grit, it's just another story.
Right.
I couldn't agree more.
Look how he uses black and white, and look at the guns. Look, the guy, not all the characters have the same gun. And you can see that he looked at real guns. And I know how much work that is. So it's amazing. Look how much depth he created in the buildings. But again, your eye, where is it focused? He put a lot of black in the foreground on the characters.
Yes.
And he didn't create too many details with folds that will take away from the drawing. I think if you would have too many folds, they're just too much of a mess. So it's a lot of detail, but the drawing breathes, if you understand what I mean. I loved it.
I totally agree with you, because this is let's look at this panel right here. And he uses the victims. I'm just going to call them the victims there at the bottom. He's using them to frame the bottom part of this panel. If you look at it, there's actually a semicircle that you can draw from the left hand of the guy on the left all the way to the guy on the right. And what it does is it frames John Heller, and he's using effective black and white. And I think that you could easily draw like speed lines or things like that to give you that sense of perspective. But he uses the buildings in the background, their diagonals, their perspective. Those create the speed lines to show you that. And then the hatch work. If you look at the hatching that's in the suits of the victims, they actually create also that sense of motion of perspective. Amazing. And it's amazing when you think about the hatch work. When you think of hatching, you think, oh, well, that's to denote shadow and things like that. But he's actually using not only to denote shadow, but he's using some of the hatching to actually denote motion, in terms of like how, the direction that the action is happening. And I just, it's somebody like me who hates inking. I can appreciate good inking. I mean, this looks so good. And then the storytelling here, he goes to a profile. And then this is what Marty was talking about, making the weapon look authentic, and it looks.
It is authentic, yeah. Also, something that I wanted to say is I see a lot of art today where it's over inked. There's so much ink that it almost morphs the actual picture. And John uses just enough ink here to pull it off.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. He lets the drawing breathe and look how how the panel, the second panel, how the fire is open, how he opens the second one, how he opens it to the right from the bullet shot. And I just realized,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. It's just amazing to me. The storytelling here is superb. You're in the story, and what I said about before, Jamie is a visual artist. He just add his words to complement what the guy's doing. You know, he's setting you up. But I've seen the sketches for this, and then the actual drawing. He did sketches for this before, which the sketches are also amazing. But he was able to do great finish, and this is just an amazing storytelling.
Yeah, I have a Facebook group called the Liberator graphic novel where I post little snippets, things that John Heller might say, also some of the pencil drawings and some of the mock-ups. So if any of you are interested, please join my group. John and I would love to hear your feedback. But we post a lot of stuff in there, and some of the responses are good. Some of the responses, not so good.
What is that? What is that URL? Let me. If you want to go ahead and say it, I'll try and post a link to it. Is it a Facebook group? You want to?
Yeah, Facebook group is called the Liberator graphic novel.
Okay, let me see if I can. I'll look that up. So it's Facebook. Okay, and it's the Liberator graphic novel. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. But yeah. So while I'm looking all that up, let's look at this next page, and I'm going to let the two of you talk about it while I look up that Facebook group to share with people. But this is the last tease that I'm going to share in terms of the Liberator. But you can just see the building narrative that's gone from him rappelling down a building and then just taking out bad guy after bad guy after bad guy, and it's just nonstop energy. But you see his thought process. Yeah. You want to talk about this, Jamie, a little bit, and while I try and pull up that page?
Yeah, basically in the story, what's happened is he wanted it to be red on red action, which is bad guy versus bad guy action. But because of some of the things that went south in the story, he has to actually get involved to set these victims free. Now, what we have here are sex traffickers, drug dealers, and other criminals who have actually enslaved victims. And that's how John Hiller got involved. Was the American government said, there's too much of this going on here in New York. We're gonna break this up. So he wanted to manipulate the situation, but things went down. He has to get involved, direct action. And that's what's going on here. He's going in here and saving these people. Now, John doesn't call himself the Liberator. What happens is the people that he frees name him the Liberator, and they draw it in graffiti around New York. And that's how his name comes about.
Yeah, so now we get why he's called the Liberator. It gives more context in terms of the story, in terms of the red. You said it was red on red. It's
red on
bad
red.
Guy on bad guy. Yeah. But again, Marty, look
may
at
I
this.
talk about the page itself, the mechanics?
Yes, please.
Okay, so first of all, if we remember the first page, he kicked the door on the right. So now he has him on the left of the page, right? He's on the right. And again, if you look at that page, it's amazing what he does there with the black and white to create depth. But first of all, he does an establishing shot. In other words, we see the stairs. We know everything, where everything is. And the letter, what she did was something really smart. She could have put the right caption on the top or somewhere on the left, but she puts them on the stairs. You will not be able to miss the stairs. You see them because you're looking at that. So there's a lot of thought. Look how it's going, stay down, go. The next caption goes up and then down.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
So she's also, because she's a pro, she's leading your eye as well around the page, right? So now what happens is you have an establishing shot, and when people come out and you see them falling from the stairs, you knew their stairs were there. Mm-hmm. So if you're going into a new scene, you have to have an establishing shot. And John's a pro, he knows it. Now look at the bottom one. They come out, blah, and then boom, boom, boom. He's shooting all of them. And you know that there's stairs there. You're not surprised. Where did the stairs come from?
Yes.
Right.
And I think that's, when you're, at least for me, when I'm reading a comic or if it's done so well, it's just natural. It's subconscious. You just appreciate it because you're getting led by the storyteller, by the artist, by the letterer, because it all makes sense. You're not lost like as you go through it. But if there are gaps in it, like you described, if you don't have those visual cues, that's when storytelling.
You want to see how brilliant the letterer is and playing along?
Right.
Notice that all the captions are him thinking, and all of a sudden there's a word balloon. Why? Because she is using the word balloon to lead you down to from the third panel, the circular one, to panel 4. She could have put a caption there, but it wouldn't work. So now you can hear. So there's so much thought that she put into it to lead you down the page. This is what good lettering does, and you wouldn't notice it because nobody notices that. Here's a caption and here's a word balloon, and they're both captions of him thinking. We could have had everything in word, thinking balloons, whatever they're called, thought balloons, and or captions. But the way she did it is she's creating a flow from his head to the next panel. So you're going from panel 3 to panel 4, and this is what a good letterer does for you.
Right.
That is amazing. Yeah. Go ahead, Jamie.
Also in the script, the caption is from first person POV, right? Which is basically John Heller telling the story of going in here and doing this action, whatever. But also we have it in real time with him thinking out loud, "Oh, you bastards, I'm going to shoot you," blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it's a dichotomy. But Nikki did a great job. She's very subtle with her lettering. It's a very, like Moti said, it's a very subtle way of guiding your eyes, and she's world class.
Absolutely, and I think lettering is probably the most unappreciated part of like a comic book. You don't realize how good it is until you see a bad example of lettering.
Oh yeah, it takes you out of the story.
It does.
Right? You want your audience to be in a dream. You want them to be captivated. And you take them out of their trance. And the letter here, she's just superb, And if we could get a really good personally, I think this comic book works like this, but a really good colorist could really help.
Exactly, and I was just looking also at John's lines here. I like how he's using these little speed lines here to advance the story, and even here he chose the perspective of this. Now it's like you said, it's showcasing that showcasing the staircase, but he uses these lines too, the diagonals here to point towards that. I mean, these are just little brilliant touches that the artist is able to to incorporate into the storytelling to lead you. I think the art of sequential storytelling, I mean, it's so underrated. You to build your panels, to tell an effective story. It's amazing when it's done so right. And so this is the tease. I only got to show you the first 3 pages of this Liberator book.
I don't know why you put Comic Cast at the bottom of the drawing, but that's a mistake.
Oh yeah. Let me remedy that. Let's get rid of that.
I think it's an amazing thing. And so what you guys have to understand, when I did this cover, I was just looking at his art and I was feeding off of it.
Exactly, and that's what you want. You want Jamie. You assembled a phenomenal team. Whether it was Marty, whether it was John, and your letterer, Nikki. I'm anxious to see who the colorist is going to be, but you have a knack for putting together a great team, and Liberator is really, John Heller Liberator is really showing that. So right now, this is great. We got through the first hour. We started a little late, but here we are at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's get to the live drawing part of this. And I want everybody to do a screen capture. I want people to kind of look at this. And this is the cover that Marty did, and you can see he's this character John Heller, tactical. He's like tactical to the nines, but he has some armor embellishments that make him unique. And let's just kind of get this. I'm going to show you this interior page here, as well as if you want to notice that he has like these really neat shoulder pads and thigh pads that are not what you typically see like in SWAT type things. So he does have something that's he's tactical, but he has some unique signature armor elements that make him stand out from like, a typical SWAT, armor or costume.
Yeah.
So let's look at that. And I wanted to share one more comment. And this comes from Maverick. Where is it at?
Hi, Maverick.
He said here, what characteristics does the Liberator have which distance him from other more grounded vigilante kind spec ops type characters? And, before you answer that, I think that'll be kind of a good transition when we go into the live drawing for you to kind of go dig deeper into the design of John Heller. And that way, while we're drawing it, you can say, if you could just let us know what your direction was to John Howard in terms of how you want to craft this look for John Heller. So that being said, let me go ahead and get the clock ready. Since Rick isn't here to keep me honest, I'm going to actually use my iPhone with a 10-minute limit. I mean, a 15-minute limit to start with. And we will start our drawing. Let me go ahead and get the art cams up. So everybody do a screen capture if you want to draw along with us. Also drop that into the art show to let me know when you complete it, and we'll feature it. Let me hide that. I'm going to bring up Marty's art cam because you get to see the magic happen here. And I will have.
Can I talk while I'm doing this?
Yes, you absolutely. I want you and Jamie to totally fill in the blanks. Tell us all about it.
Let me tell you about the heart of the story. Okay. I've gotten a little bit of pushback saying Liberator is a knockoff of this character, that character, whatever. But the heart of the matter is he doesn't just kill the bad guys. He actually frees the enslaved victims of these traffickers, and he leads them to homes and to YMCAs and different havens where they can actually be. And he uses the drug dealers' money to supply all of these places. So Liberator is more than just a vengeance guy. Traffickers have actually.
Jamie, I want you to continue, but I'm going to go ahead and let.
I would love to, if it's okay, Jamie.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Let's go ahead and
as I work to explain what I'm doing.
Let's go ahead and start.
So first of all,
yeah.
If everybody can see my Clip Studio, it used to be called Manga Studio, and then it was rebranded to Clip Studio. It's got a little bit of animation, but I use it for comic books. You can do everything here. You can color, letter, and I enjoy not having to go. I used to work on Photoshop for the colors, which is a better program for coloring overall, but not much now. They've used to be just black and white Manga Studio when I had 4, and now 5 and 6 they've gone into colors. Now what I want to show you is, so I opened something 11 by 16, which fits the. It fits it fits the size of the Facebook that afterwards I'll post it on or not. But the first thing I want to do is I want to open a document. So I'm going to my saved pictures, and as you can see, I have Liberator Jamie here, and here you can can you see what I can't see if you can see what I'm showing now, or that
yes.
there's
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll choose like this image. Okay. Now what I do is I hold it and I move it to the left, and this opens a way that I can put it here on the left. So now I have the character in front of me. That's how I did the cover. Now I can see what he looks like. Okay.
Mm.
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create let's create a new layer. Here we'll do one tip for all you young artists. I do it. Let's call it rough. I give names to all my various layers. Like if we'll open the actual, this is the Liberator. This is the actual comic book, the one I did, this is it. You see how many, all of this on the right are all the layers. Shadow on rope, rope below copy, because I'd have to do rope. So, but broken glass under, broken glass above, right? So I can take out here, I can take all this glass. So my recommendation to you is really to name everything. Now let's save this thing. So if I have all of a sudden some sort of, let's save it as comic for now. I can rename it, but I highly recommend whatever you do. Now, so I have a reference, and I had many references, and so you understand how many layers are involved. So now if there's 3 layers, that wouldn't be a problem. But if we have, like you saw, 10, 20, 30 layers, you better know all the names, and you won't, and you won't. So if you don't want to draw on the wrong layer and then you have to correct, I highly recommend that you give them all names. Now, Jamie, what would you like me to do? And I want to show you guys my process more than anything. I won't color, I'll do more line art. But Jamie, what would you like me to draw? How much time do I have, by the way, Jorel?
You will have 15 minutes. We'll start with 15. And
okay.
You just let me know.
So first of all, rough. Jamie, what would you like me to draw?
Let's do something basic where he's in a kneeling position, firing his submachine gun.
Oh, okay, that's basic.
So firing left or right?
Of course, always starting on the left and firing to the right.
Woo. Okay. All right. So
okay, if you have difficulty with that, just a tip, I can invert the screen and then do it the other way and then change, because if I'm right-handed, it's more comfortable for me to go right to left. Left-handed people, it's more comfortable, but it doesn't matter. So what I'll do is, look what I do, guys. This is the moment to get the image, right? So if we want him shooting, I don't have to be accurate at all. I can just rough it and, hold him holding the gun or whatever, trying to get a pose like this. And if I don't like it, I can always, undo. That's what's beautiful about it. Okay. So what I'm trying to now is to me, the most important thing is not to go into detail, but just to get the flow of him shooting or a gun or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it could be something like this, for example. I'll show you this. All right. So now I'm starting to get the flow of the thing, but I don't like the flow here. What bothers me is his foot. So I'm trying to get if you want to get a dynamic pose, first of all, you have to understand how the body works. What I'm trying to do is twist the body. And again, I'm not trying to be pretty. I'm not trying to be accurate. The important thing is the move here. Okay. So look, by creating an angle, right? Notice that the flow is better. Now, the flow that I'm going for is trying to get this kind of a flow. I'm trying to get a motion, the better the motion. So what this made me realize, the gun should be probably here. Now, this doesn't look like much, but if you put the hand more powerful, all of a sudden you have a very powerful pose. And notice that I'm having the body twisted as well.
Yeah, that makes it
fantastic.
Instantly more dynamic.
You see the energy. Now all I have to do is mark it in light and blue, get it bottom that I don't see much, and then, and again, I hadn't named it, but this is like, let's call it rough. We'll call the other one sketch or flow, whatever. Call it any name you want, but that you feel comfortable with, and that you know what you meant, right?
Right.
Now what I do is, once I have this, don't look to the left, to my left. There's all these details. Don't go into them. I'm trying just to get the thing going. So now I'm trying to put in the basic proportions of the human body and get them better going. So look at what's happening now. He's got these boots, right?
Gerald, you might want to hit some of those comments too.
Oh yeah.
I can't see them, because I'm drawing. So tell me the comments.
Yeah, keep drawing, brother.
Let's see.
I will.
Here we got Maverick saying, editing, sound design, cinematography, all usually underappreciated. I think these were comments from like before we started the live drawing, but let's go ahead and just go through them. We have another one here from Maverick. Great art, great lettering, great ideas overall. Maverick also says, digging the 90s atmosphere. Then we got here Sarah. The amount of dotting tech is Superman level. We got Stevan saying awesome. And then we got Roy Mercado saying excited. Oh, no, we got Marius here. Excited to see what you guys can build in 15 minutes. That's true. And then Roy was responding to like that directive from Jamie saying, oof, that's basic. But you can already see that Marty's already killing it. He's taking the art direction there from Jamie, and we're going to see it.
I want to show you guys something. What I love about, you see, I can flip it. I can flip it, and then I can see my mistakes more easily. For example, and what I can do, just to show you guys, I can take this drawing and play with it some more if I want. Move things around a little bit to give it more power, and this is how I create the foreshortening. Now, what I would do afterwards, if I wanted to do something super realistic, right? What I would do is I would start looking for the references. But this is the beginning of any drawing. Well, sometimes I don't do it, but you have to do it at least in your head. So now we have, now look, here's this, and look how I created a better angle. You see? I'll do an undo so that people can see. You can play. This is what I love. All these people that say, oh, we should work with pencils and pens. And oh my God, I miss pencil. Look, guys, I'm 53 and I'm 100% digital these days. And it has a substantial advantage in making comics much faster. You can do stuff faster, but if you don't know how to draw, then it won't work. Now, if I take this layer off, okay, look what we've got. So he's like shooting above at someone that's coming at him, right?
Yes.
Now,
yep.
I can do this, turn this one into another layer. And now I'm also thinking of the direction of the light. That's what Bob told me, Bob Layton, to take that. So now what I would do is if I'm going into inks, and I want to do a very detailed versions because we don't have a lot of time. So to me, I'll explain what the light is. I'll mark it just so you'll see it a second. This is the light source for me. Okay? I'll show an example. This is something I did today. And I send Bob Layton a thank you. I didn't post it online. I'll just show you guys a second what I mean. Because I talked about it. Here's Iron Fist. This is the previous version. Which one? This is the old one I did. Okay. Bob McLeod looked at it and said, Bob Layton, excuse me. He said, it's good, dynamic, but your problem is the lighting. And he gave me, this amazing, generous guy, he gave me on this, and this is what I want to tell all of you something. Park your egos. When a master gives you this, he drew over my drawings and he showed me how to make it. And he did it. It's online. You can see it on my Facebook. He put it at the bottom and said, you should do this. You should make the lines twice as heavy here. And then you should do the bottom lines, heavy, the ones toward the light less. Here's the light source, stuff like that, right? Right. So I took this, and this just let me open the right one. Yeah, this is it. So what I did, I redrew my own drawing. Basically, my layout was good. I still need to tweak some things here, but the basic idea is, if you notice, the light source now is his fist. That's my unique spin on it. So I took what Bob Layton taught me, and I put a twist on it. But basically, so now can you see that all the lines are heavy ones? So just to show you guys, now, if this is the light source, again, this is the light source, then what I should be drawing is all the lines far from the light. I can control the width of my line. So all the lines this way will be heavy, and the lines close will be thin. You see what I mean? And that already creates a very powerful drawing.
Guys, I want to respond to a message here from Johnny Redleg.
Yep.
He says, will Liberator eventually be accompanied by companions or a team? Perhaps the people he liberated. Yes, he will be using assets, has used assets to infiltrate the sex traffickers. He will not be surrounded by an actual team, but he does report to a team of advisors, a shadow group called the Gray Cabinet.
So there's some non-spoiler insight there in terms of future reveals that are going to be there in the Liberator comic book. So yeah, continue on, Marty.
Oh yeah, it's an important thing. So all I'm doing now is putting a little bit of detail, creating some shadow here and there just to get some depth. Now this is not high quality, of course, and afterwards, if I was a cover, will take will take its time, and even interior pages. These are like the roughs in John Howard's interior pages. But notice I'm trying to keep a thick line and a thin line.
Well, and talking about the light source, it stays consistent as well.
That's right. That's right. And then when you
And one thing I want to point out to all you writers out there, like I told him to do a side shot of the Liberator firing his gun. I keep it basic because you don't want to over direct your talent. Let the talent be the talent. Let them shine through. If you've written a good script and you put just enough description there, they'll be able to create from it and do something great. If you over direct it, you take the talent out of the artist's hands.
That's some good advice. Good advice.
Really good advice.
Let them shine.
That's right. So let me shine now, Jamie. Stop talking.
Okay.
I'm kidding. What you see, I'm correcting. I'm looking at the reference here on the left. Can you see my cursor?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I'm looking at the left, and I'm correcting to put the details in. I'm a bit sick, but I counted 16 here in the real drawing he did, and I did mine to have 16 as well. Of course, now I'll do it much faster for us. Now here, you want to create motion? Just by adding these, from the shoelaces, I've created motion. Look without them. With them. Right? I created motion because they move. So anything you can use in your art to create motion is highly, highly recommended. Highly recommended. It will make your drawing that much better. And here again, why do I love digital? I can erase. It's like working. Why do people like pencil? Because you can erase in pencil. But here there's no need to do it when you're working digitally, because all you can do, you can erase, and I can draw over, and I have the inks already in place. Right? So I have this line. I don't need to. I can just erase it. And I know there's 3 of them because obviously I drew the cover. So I know there's 3 here. Here I'll show a little bit more. But you see how it's starting to look like the character. So I can draw over the knee, erase what I don't want, keep it a bit. This is my light source above. So I'll keep that a little bit like this. Right here, great. Again, motion. I'm creating motion. And I'll soon what I'll do, I'll create maybe a shadow. I can even do other stuff with him, but you'll see something I don't like. Here, what I love about working digitally. Here, look what I'm doing. I can play with this. You see what I'm doing? Just showing you. It'll take a second to do. Now, I don't have to like it, so I can go back, but I can cut. I can put back. I can play with the angle. If I don't like something, I can just erase it or cut. Sometimes when you do a drawing and oh my God, the head is here. I want to show you guys something. Let me just start a new page. Do I have enough time?
We have You know what? We have 2 minutes, but I'm going to actually increase it to. I'll give us another like 5 minutes on this.
Okay, so no, I just want to take a break, and I want to show everyone something about drawing.
I'll pause it.
It's a mistake that pros make. Okay, and I'll explain what I mean. I want to show you everyone this. This is really important. When a person stands on his right foot, or on it, let's have him leaning on his left foot. So all the weight is distributed. Well, I could draw the whole thing here of the human body, and I could put the 24 here and do the whole thing. But basically, all you need to do is the stick figure. So what happens is, when a person stands, because there's this angle, the body compensates by moving the top, and the result is somebody standing. And can you see that this hand has to be shorter, longer, more down, because the body compensates. Now notice that it's a stick figure, but it looks very human the way he or she is standing. Now, if I make this hand too long, no matter what I do afterwards, it will look wrong to you. Now, in the old days, if you drew this, you had a problem. Maybe with oils you can do another thing, but with digitally you can correct if you discover this mistake. And afterwards, yes, you can say, okay, here let's put an anatomy on this guy, right? We can put anatomy on him, and you should learn the muscles, right? And we can do all of this.
Anatomy is important.
Yeah. And then I could, but if this was too long, no matter what I would do afterward, it would look wrong. So I could decide the light sources is here, and then create shadows this way, right? But if my and put a shadow here, but if my proportions are wrong, whatever I'll do afterwards, it's wrong. It won't work. The drawing won't work. Okay, so let's erase this. So back to this. So all I'm doing now, and let's do it quickly so we can move to the other stuff. I won't get all the details of I love his detail, by the way. Okay, let's have him shooting. His gun, we'll do it quick. I know he's got other stuff in the gun, Jamie, forgive me. The gun has this thing as well, but
no, it looks good.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go for the quick feel of energy.
Yeah, and it looks great. It's very dynamic.
Yep, and again, if you all you have to do when there's the gun here, let's do it quick. And he has some stuff on his arms. To me,
and of course, you're creating drama, tension, storytelling. All the elements of good writing should be in the artwork.
That's right. I agree. We'll put Jorel's hat in here.
I'm the Asian John Heller.
Well, to me, he looks a little bit Asian. I tell you the truth. To me, he looked, I don't know, something Asian about him. If you look at the face to the what I'm using as reference, and God, he's so good. Look how much white and black he put in the costume, in it to create depth and just in the costume. Now, what I would do if I'm, of course, there's more detail here and it could be endless, but let's just keep it simple. Add a bit of black just so that things will stick out where we want them to. And look at this. And always a bit of shadows just to ground your characters are always recommended. Personally, if I was taking my time and you saw from the cover, I would probably do the shadows on another layer, right? Mm-hmm. I would probably do it on another layer, but look how much energy there's in this drawing that took a few minutes. Can you see?
Yes.
I could play with it, play with the angles, and this would be a sketch. this would be like a panel that's in the book, and he would say something like, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to teach you lettering now. If I'm doing this, what the heck? Lettering, what I was taught by the great Dan Berger. First of all, do the lettering, then put the bubbles, not vice versa. Okay, so first of all, I would write.
So if I heard this right, you do the lettering for the
All right,
bubble.
look what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Okay. Watch. So first of all, oops. Let's create the lettering dynamic a bit, and then you know what I'll do undo here. So now I take the tool, like, and I fit. You see, so the lettering, the way you do it, that's what I love about. Let's keep it not do a spline. Let's do a straight one. Cover. I do the lettering before I draw, so I don't have to do it. But as you can see, so what you do is you fit the balloons, and then you can add stuff like maybe make something a bit bigger. See?
Yeah.
Cool. So
Very
let's say
cool.
and it says Jamie and Jarrell are the best. That's what he says. Just before he kills Jamie and Jarrell. Okay? And then I could sign it. And
actually, we have 2 minutes still, Marty. So if you want to like do any additional embellishments, you can, or if you want to go over like just composition and lettering tips,
well,
you're welcome to do that as well.
I want to do something. Let me say something again. Remember when I said use anything you want to create motion?
Mm-hmm.
So let's have the bullets falling and causing attention to him.
Right.
Yeah. So even John Howard is a master of this. Just a plain master. I don't know if you guys saw, but what he does is amazing. So I'm turning them into speed lines basically. I don't like them particularly. I think this would be the best. So you can play with it here. Look at this. I've created motion, and now it looks like his hand is going boom, 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 right? And if I wanted to, I could have this gone like this, which these were the before shots. So look how much motion there is in it. Okay.
I love it.
Right.
When you're done with that, could you post that in the Liberator graphic novel Facebook group?
Goes without saying, my friend.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
Just a rough sketch.
No, but okay. the people will love it.
Now, what you should do? You should try 2-3 of these guys, and when you see the one that you like best, this will be the basis for your cover. If you notice, there's a bit of a triangular design to this art. I put them in the middle, but you could let's get rid of this a second. And you could move him around and try stuff. I could move him here. Maybe this is better. No, maybe I want him down here. Maybe I want to make him bigger, right? Like this. Is this better or not? I don't know.
Yeah, try doing that with traditional. This is the benefit.
Yeah, traditional. Good luck to you. Good luck. Oops, yeah. I want to move him to the left. Now, the thing you should be careful with digital is, I have this tendency. You start zooming in, and you take this pouch, and you start working on it and writing and doing this amazing detail that nobody will see at all.
Uh-oh, I guess that's our time limit.
Okay,
let me,
that's it.
Okay, all right. Let's can you zoom? Let's zoom in a little bit, and then we'll give us your final analysis on this piece, and then we'll see if anybody drew in the art show. Before you start talking, anybody that participated, just message me in the comments field that you did draw, and post it to our sister page, which is the art show on Facebook. and I will pull up that page and we can share that. And we can let Jamie and Marty take a look at it.
I'd love to.
That
I'd
being
be
said,
delighted.
Marty, let's go ahead and hear your. I'd like to hear you and Jamie just talk about this piece, and then we'll go out to the
My
art
piece,
show.
you want to do now?
Yeah. Let's do your final analysis.
Well, I don't want to say the word genius, but come on, guys. It's just a sketch, and I will give you a serious tip now.
I don't want to say genius either.
No, you shouldn't. I don't use that word. But seriously, what I want to say is this: don't be attached to your sketches. It's been my experience that the more time you put into something, the less apt you want to change it. So what I recommend to everyone, if you draw something, like I see about 1,000 mistakes in this drawing already, but it's a good place to start. It's got a good flow, it's got energy, and I would like to keep that in my final sketch. If you guys could see John Howard's, go to the Liberator group and you can see John Howard's sketches, the pages, which are just beautiful in my view. I love his final, don't misunderstand me. I love his final art. It's just superb. But what I'm saying is, see the sketches and then how he translated them, and I just love it. And so just do sketches quickly. And to me, if this would be like a panel in a comic book, then I would say, okay, well, maybe the right hand covers his face. Maybe I'll move it down. Maybe I want the left foot is not exactly stable. I'll rotate it. I'll play with it a little bit. But I'm not attached to it. I could erase this and I wouldn't worry about it. I won't. But I'm just saying, this is the way to do it. Sketch everything out. And let me tell you how I do a comic book when I write it. What I do is I lay out the whole pages. And what I told you, Jarrell, I do shadow pages with basically panels with nothing except the lettering and the balloons, which I don't have to draw under them. Right.
And I think that's a brilliant technique that you described. Go ahead, keep on talking about that technique.
Well, to me, the technique, it saves me time because I can see the whole thing. Have you ever read those stories? And Jamie, you know what I'm talking about, that he goes slow, and now he has 2 pages to finish the whole 22. And so the story has to wrap up quickly. You see that in movies as well and TV shows. It goes slow. Oh, we forgot. We don't have any more time. It's because they didn't plan the structure. So structure is not only the specific drawing. It's also in everything. Walt Simon said he would draw, the thumbnails and just say, Thor this does this, Thor does that. To me, with digitally, I can do the shadow pages, which is panels and full lettering and word balloons. I don't have to draw under the word balloons, and it saves me time. I'm trying to think of all the time. It takes so much time manually to do a comic book, and there's no reason we can't use digital shortcuts. It's true you don't have a page to show for it that you can sell, and a lot of comic books like that, but the time it takes too much time to do one manually.
And I think that's a really good, that's another nugget of advice there from Marty in terms of like increasing your workflow and being able to be more efficient, because the benefit of Marty being the writer as well as the letterer as well as the penciler and the inker is that he can actually refine his drawing time, because he knows that he doesn't need to render in a certain area because that's where a word bubble is going to go, or he knows where he doesn't have to do anything unnecessary. So I was joking with him. I said, hey, you're going to break some Jack Kirby like page records in terms of like trying to produce pages from scratch in a record amount of time.
But not in this technique. This technique is way too slow.
Yeah,
I'm like inventing some of my own stuff. But I'll tell you, although yesterday I told you jokingly that Eisner used to say that the writer and the artist should be as close as possible, preferably sharing their own the same body. Well, I joke, I do enjoy collaborating with other writers like Jamie, or writing for artists, like writing for you something, Jorel, that we discussed. And to me, you get a surprise. And when I'm the writer and I put on the writer's hat, or co-writer when I write with Jamie, it's fun to send something out. And even though I know how I would draw it, you get it back differently, and sometimes much better than I thought even had I drawn it. So when you write with someone, when you work with other people, the brainstorming and exchanging of there's a synergy, which is what I love with Jamie. He's always open, and I think this is a very, very unique character that's very grounded and has I'll tell you the truth, a positive message. So many new characters, they're just bad guy, the dark, they kill people.
The anti-hero. The anti-hero.
No,
Yeah.
this guy's a real hero in my book.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's why I want everybody to. We'll talk more about like when this book is going to be completed and where you can get it. But just to like, because we want to try and get one more drawing in here. But before that, I wanted to share what our audience, they've been feeling this character. They really are. It's resonating with them, and we got some fan art here going on. So let me share that.
Let's see it. I'm so excited.
This is from.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
This is from Marius. And
Marius, well done. Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, he's been a guest on our show, as well as a talented audience member, and he always told me that he never wants to draw anything unless there's a narrative that you can kind of get from it. And you kind of see this picture, and you're like, you're wondering. It's like his face cast in shadow, and you're wondering. It's like, is he coming to get you? You know, like what?
Yeah.
You know, Tom DeFalco gave me feedback on Marty, and he said, always have something, an element of a story. And what I like about this one, the way he did you don't see if it's glasses or shadow. He made it very mysterious.
Exactly.
What is he going to do? It's like it's that moment before the storm. Brilliant, really talented artist. Brilliant. I love it.
There's a lot of good technical detail there too, Marius, that you glean from the original concept, and I love it. Also, Marius, if you want to join my Liberator graphic novel group page on Facebook, I'd love to post that picture there. That'd be awesome. All the other members would love that.
Well, it looks like there's going to be a new cover artist if this keeps going.
Yeah, right. I don't know about this guy. He's something else.
Really good. I love this. I love this. Really, I really do.
Just so you guys know, I did post in the comments field the link to that Facebook group page for the Liberator. So check that out. But let me keep on going because we got other people Marius' brother Maverick did this piece.
Ooh, I like it.
Ooh, Maverick.
Wow, the colors are really powerful.
Yeah,
the eyes
with the glasses. It's wow, very nice, very nice.
Good job.
I especially love the depth.
And I think the glasses, that's the story that I'm looking. He's like, he obviously draws attention to it, but is he like, like what is it inside the mind of John Heller, or is he witnessing?
Right, is something there reflected? Is that a person?
Yeah,
something very mysterious.
Right, the firestorm that's coming along here. But yeah, that's from Maverick, and then we also get Sarah here. Sarah,
wow,
she was
you nailed it.
foreshortening.
She's learning how to do the foreshortening, and
wait. Let me try to do something here.
Can you zoom in on Sarah's picture? Oh wow! Look at the body mechanics there.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Sarah.
I think Sarah was really taking heart the lessons that Marty was trying to like share. And
I agree. She did a great job. Look at that.
Yeah. Can I ask her if she wants some feedback in real time on it?
Okay. Well, I'm going to actually, you guys will actually have the opportunity. Yeah, because you will have opportunity to comment on the actual page.
So what are we doing now? Are we doing?
You can do that post stream. You'll be able to, any questions that I missed, you guys are more than welcome to respond to any of our audience members that if I forgot to, if I wasn't able to post their questions, I encourage you to interact with them that way after the show, because I want to be sensitive to Marty's request. We want to keep this under 2 hours, and we have to do one more live drawing, and I really want to talk a little bit more about the Liberator. But before we get to that, let me just share real quick what you guys have inspired me to do.
Let me
share that. Now, I have to admit that I kind of copped out. I use the word cop. I copped out and I didn't do a dramatic pose like I would have liked to have done, because I was really trying to listen to Marty and listen to him about how to do action shots. So I did a very conservative shot, but let me share this real quick.
Do it.
And this is what I did on a really short notice, but it's.
Oh my God, that's good.
It was just.
That's brilliant, Gerald.
Oh, I love it.
And it's more of the attitude, he's getting ready to
I love
he's armored up and he's getting ready to take out some bad guys. But
I love it.
Can I tell you that you have a serious mistake here? Is that okay?
Yeah, you can tell me that, please do.
Well, the problem, you made him too masculine. He's a woman, actually. No, I'm kidding. It's great. I love it.
That is the reveal.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Hey, can you zoom in?
Yeah.
Can you zoom in? I want to see.
Okay,
It's so
this
small.
is traditional, so this is zooming in.
Okay.
I love it.
So
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, it is. It is. I can see it. It's like it can be again a before or after moment. Like this could be the end of the comic book. That he says something. Yeah, he saved people. He's happy, and he's going to get some more bad guys.
Right. He can deliver that 80s action hero one-liner like,
let's
I'll
steal
be
from
back.
Frank Miller and say something. No, say, yeah, I liberate people. That's all.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay, so this is what I want to like propose, because I think we got a bonus here in terms of, I really like what Marty did in terms of just sharing with our audience in terms of like that excellent instruction. That's something that we've never actually had on previous episodes, and I really appreciate that. Unfortunately, that ate up a lot of time, but it was fortunate because I think that we got lettering techniques, shadowing techniques. You were able to show so many examples of like, your mentors and being able to facilitate how you could actually leverage that information or that instruction into yours and share that with our audience. I loved how you talked about composition and twist, lighting sources, lettering. So I think you covered all sorts of bases, and I just really want to be sensitive to your availability.
I've got some more time. So what are we going to do? We're going to draw the Hulk?
Yes. There you go. You kind of like spoiled it. I want to make sure, because I really want you to be, I know that if you have to do a hard stop, I wanted you to still talk a little bit before.
We can go a little bit more.
You can go a little bit more. Okay, good.
Over 2 hours.
Okay, all right.
I think you guys should be sensitive to me.
Well, Jamie, I'm going to draw the Hulk, and I'd like to ask you. I don't know.
Yes.
When I draw the Hulk, I won't explain. I can just draw, and you can talk. Jamie, could you tell about I don't know if you want to, about your personal background, because you've been an inspiration to me, and I don't know if you want to get into it or not, but I think you should, because personally, and then I can drawing the Hulk.
Yeah, I actually want to share that story, because I want to actually really bring Jamie into that part of it, because his story is very inspiring. But what we could do is that as we go into this last drawing, this particular subject, Marty kind of like spilled the beans in terms of like what we're going to do. We're going to be doing the Hulk. And the Hulk has special meaning to Jamie and Marty, because
That's right.
At least from the pre-show that I had yesterday, Jamie mentioned that was one of the art pieces that really resonated that Marty did. And that was like, I want to say that was kind of like a catalyst for their friendship. And so let's just do a quick 10-minute Hulk. And I would like Jamie maybe to kind of like talk about that relationship you have with Marty.
Can you see my screen?
We're going to add it back in. Let me add it back in. And then what I'd like to tie up, Jamie, at the end after we do this is to talk particularly about your story, because it's a really, really good story. So if that's okay with you, that's just kind of like I'd like to like frame the last part of the show. Is everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Marty has a great visceral talent of capturing the Hulk's intention and his dynamic posing and ferocity of the Hulk. And that was he showed one where Hulk's coming out of the sunshine, and I saw that at one of the original shots that he sent to me when we were first getting to know each other. And I always loved it. I shared it around with people, and they loved it as well. Some of my prose writer friends are like, does he do book covers? They want to know, because it's so dynamic and so ferocious. And if you guys watch what he does here, you'll see what I'm saying.
Yeah, in fact, I was purposely. We're gonna go back to your art cam in a moment, but I wanted to share that particular piece that Jamie was talking about. So let me unshare this real quick, and I want to show that particular. Let me go back to the PDF here. So you look here. This is the piece that Jamie was mentioning. You want
If you look and you see the way the Hulk is positioned in the panel, it's like a splash page, it's a cover. But the way he's positioned, he's larger than the panel around him, which gives him the feeling of movement, the feeling of falling down on you.
right.
And I think that's killer.
I have to
Thank
agree
you so much, boss.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of the worm's eye view. Like that's just when you can use that effectively, it tells a story in itself. It's just really, really cool. So let me go back to Marty's art cam. Okay, there we go. And I need to be very quick too. I need to figure out what I'm going to draw real quick. So
I'm going full speed here, as you guys can see. We don't have a lot of time.
So Jamie, about the Hulk, were you a big fan of like the 80s Hulk with Lou Ferrigno?
You bet. You bet. I loved it. I was a kid, and that was my show, man. That was my jam because there wasn't any superhero shows like there are today. You know, it was just the Hulk. You know, and the Spider-Man show didn't really work out. Wasn't very good, but the Hulk it had great storytelling. It had Lou. It had Bill Bixby playing Banner. It was just a great show. And every week, you know, there was kind of a moral and a tie-up. You know, and then you had him walking down the lonely road by himself at the end with that sad music. You know, I love that show.
You are so right. That brings back so many memories. And you know what? In the world of like CG, where everything is CG now, Lou Ferrigno was just that big. He was just was 100% real. So.
Yeah, and you know what? They had a very small budget, a very small TV budget compared to what they do today, and they still can't get the Hulk right today.
So you're not a fan of the MCU's version of the Hulk?
I am, but I'm not. I am in the Avengers movies. I think they did him pretty well, but in the solo movies, I don't think they quite captured what I enjoyed about the Hulk.
I see. So the whole Ang Lee, the whole
hated it.
Edward Norton. You didn't like Edward Norton as the Hulk either?
It was okay. I didn't like the body type designs in the Edward Norton one, but I did like the story elements that Edward Norton added to the script. That I thought those little details were pretty interesting. I don't know. You gotta dig deeper than just he's trying to find a cure, and this is his love relationship with the Betty Ross.
Right.
You got to go deeper than that. You know what I mean? In my mind, there's got to be more to it. What are we really trying to say here? You know? And for me, they do a better job about that in the Avengers because there's one line that Banner says basically that he's actually mad all the time.
Yes.
Yes, that's brilliant.
That is such a brilliant analysis. Actually, how about this? Let's I'm going to put you on the spot here, Jamie. If you had to do, you know, from a writer's point of view, if you had to do, you know, you talked about like delving into that deeper character of Bruce Banner and the Hulk. If you could do your own Hulk story, what villain would you use to help tell the story that you want to tell, and give us like a kind of a loose example of how you would frame it? If that's too much to ask, I don't know. You got like we got 5 minutes, so you can basically tell us like if you were a part of the MCU, how would you tell that Hulk story?
Interesting. What I would probably do is focus on Banner and only use the Hulk in visual storytelling action scenes. I would focus on Banner's childhood. Where does that rage actually come from? Peter David did a lot of that as well. What developed Banner into this personality profile? Is it psychological? Why is he the Hulk? And then you got to have a villain that complements the Hulk. You got to have that, like a Doomsday. You'd almost have to create a new villain, a Doomsday type villain that can challenge the Hulk. Because without that, it's just Hulk smash.
So would you invent a new villain that fits
Yeah.
all of those characters? Okay, so it wouldn't be anybody from Hulk's Rogues Gallery. You would think that you would invent a character that would match him for that kind of storytelling that you'd like to tell, right?
Exactly. And I would tie that villain's background into the actual process that the Hulk became the Hulk, like the bomb itself, the gamma bomb. I would try to find some way to bring that historical detail into it as well. And that's just off the top of my head, but I definitely am a fan of the Hulk. I'm not as big a fan of the Rogues Gallery because there's a lot of Morts in there. But look what Modi's doing here. I mean, look at that face. That's just killer.
Oh wow!
Thank you so much.
And his style
again, if I may,
Mhm.
the complementary colors I'm using here are red and green. So I'm putting in a bit of red here because that's the complementary color of green. I'll put it in a few places, and you'll see what I'm doing quickly.
Awesome. I'm going to actually pull up some comments here. Here we go. Here's a comment. I personally prefer both Ang Lee's version and the Ed Norton version over the MCU. So we got some contrary opinions here. There was more psychological.
We agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. Yes, there was more psychological elements in the solo films. Here we go. Instead of the MCU, but I guess in the MCU it was more. There was more characters that you actually had to like address. And I'm going to have to say that I agree with Jamie a bit more because I think that the other elements, the Ang Lee, the Ed Norton movies, they felt like they were just I guess they were one-offs eventually, but with even though we have the MCU versions or the Avengers versions of Hulk, they allowed him. They weren't solo movies, but when they had him on screen, they effectively told bits of his character that you wouldn't get from watching a whole movie. I think they honed in on certain parts of it. That line that you said, the secret is I'm always angry. That I think that kind of like encapsulated in that one line more than like the other two movies. I don't know.
I agree. That's my opinion as well.
Right.
But I think, to each his own, obviously.
Yes, personal preferences, of course. Right.
But I also thought that Mark Ruffalo did a great job of portraying Banner as this very, very intelligent.
Because he likes it, Ruffalo.
Yeah, I do like the Ruffalo. I think that he does a good job with the intelligent Banner part, who's this peaceful-minded guy, but underneath the surface, there is something raging.
And I think that actually is oops, I got you know what? It says time is up, but let's give it a little bit more time because I really want to hear Jamie respond to that whole thing.
Keep going, Jamie. Keep at it.
Jamie, I want to follow up what you just said because I think deep down, there's a Hulk in all of us, right? We all have a little bit of that inner rage. We have that inner rage that we don't know how we can kind of act out on it in a constructive way. We don't want to smash everything, but it's like I think the Hulk is something that we can relate to.
Definitely.
We have that. We wrestle with inner demons, and we kind of like want to Hulk out every once in a while. And when we see him on the screen, he is a character that we can kind of relate to. And I'm just so interested to hear about, from a writing perspective. Is that why you have an affinity for the Hulk too? Do you think
definitely. I've got a lot of physical health issues. I'm in a wheelchair, and I have a prosthetic leg. And there are times, and you can ask my wife, when I just want to grab something and throw it because my wheelchair doesn't fit in an area, or somebody left a toy on the floor and I can't roll over it, or just the fact that I need help going to the bathroom. There are times when I want to rage. And whose fault is that? It's nobody's fault. Those are the cards I'm dealing with. My cards aren't any worse than your cards, but they're personal to me. And in
That's right.
dealing with health issues, I go to physical therapy 3 times a week. I see doctors every week. I mean, my job nowadays is writing and my health. But there are just days when you're climbing into a car, it doesn't seem right, it hurts, your limbs hurt, you hurt, or the doctors manipulate something in a way you don't like, or somebody pulls your wheelchair in a direction you don't want to go. There's a lot of loss of independence. And through my writing, I'm able to regain a certain amount of poetic mobility. And it's pretty deep and psychological in a sense, but we're all dealing with something. We all have an inner Hulk.
I really wanted to figure out how I would be able to broach the subject, because in the short time that I've got to know you, I've read your Facebook posts, and you've been very transparent. You've been basically talking about your struggles, and I've seen the creativity that you also exhibit, and it's inspirational. And I didn't know how we could actually, how we could I didn't know how we were going to actually segue it because we wanted to do this Hulk drawing, and this is just natural. We were just talking about the Hulk, and it just naturally allowed us to talk about that and be able to share some of your personal experiences. And it's a beautiful, inspirational thing to me to hear that.
Thank you.
You're one of those guys that, yes, you're not perfect. You're not like
Jamie's perfect. Excuse me, Jamie's perfect. I'm sorry.
I think let me go ahead. Let me backtrack. We're all not perfect, but you mentioned the cards that we're dealt, how we are dealt those cards, that speaks volumes of a person's character. And you could easily just throw your hands up in the air and just give up and say, you know what, I don't want to pursue any of the things that made me feel alive. Whether it was writing, whether it was music, whether it was like you mentioned in one of your posts about the independence to be able to drive wherever you want to drive. And sure, these things were kind of taken away from you, but this is what I'm going to say. It's so fitting that your comic is called The Liberator, because hearing your story, it's liberating. It shows the freedom that you have from being a creator. That shows how you can take the cards that you were dealt with, and then just flip it. It's like, you know what? That's not going to hold me back. I'm going to create. I'm going to work with Marty. I'm going to work with John Howard. I'm going to reach for the stars. Rather than throwing my hands up, I'm in defeat. I'm going to keep on reaching. And, these are the things that I when we were doing our pre-show that I mentioned, that we talked about. And the relationship you mentioned with that Image-esque publisher, Marcosia. I know I'm mispronouncing it.
It's like Marcosia.
Marcosia, yes. That is a big deal for somebody here in America. I'm not familiar with that company. But the more that I heard about it, the more I did a little bit of research, the more that I heard from Marty and from Jamie. Jamie is going to have The Liberator published by this company. Big freaking deal. I mean, that is such an awesome achievement. And your story, it means a lot. And I hope that our audience, they can see that a passion project is something that can sustain you. It's something that when Jamie mentioned that he had an amputation. He's gone through some difficult medical procedures. Every day can really challenge him, but he's still creating. I have no excuse. I have no excuse to not be as driven as Jamie is.
Well, it's one of those deals that I spent 6 months in the hospital last year, and a friend of mine, his name is David Michelini, who's the writer of Iron Man and created Venom and stuff like that. When I was complaining on Facebook, he was just like, because I missed my son, and it was during COVID, and I couldn't see anybody, and I was basically bawling every day. And David inspired me. He's like, Jamie, why aren't you writing? He's like, you need to write. He's like, don't sit there, do some writing, get on, figure it out. And he inspired me again, re-inspired me. He's one of my childhood heroes, actually. And I did. In the hospital, I started writing again. I'm part of a writers club too. Shout out to my writers club. And we give feedback on each other's writing. And they had writers club in spite of the fact that I was in the hospital. They kept having it. I would log on and actually be so medicated that I wouldn't be able to talk, but I would be able to listen. And I listened to my friends talk about their writings, and that would inspire me. Some days I would listen to my writers group and just have tears coming out of my eyes because I couldn't participate, because I couldn't really talk. But I was able to hear the passion that those guys have. And like I said, I want to shout out to all my writing friends in the New Pulp movement. You guys have sustained me. You guys have empowered me, and you have encouraged me. And I want to thank all of you.
Oh, those are, I mean, awesome. I'm going to tell you that even our audience has been affected by you, Jamie, and your project here. We got Sarah, keep on writing, Jamie. Please don't stop. We got Roy saying respect. I mean,
definitely.
This is your story. It resonated with me, and I want to share this picture. You shared it with me, so I wanted to let you know that this. You see the smile on Jamie's face. He's not letting anything hold him back. This is him telling the world, you know what? I'm still gonna produce. I'm gonna follow my dreams, and I don't want anybody else to think that they can't do it either. And
that's right.
Jamie, it's an awesome story. I really wanted to put that at the end of the show, but I think it just naturally came out right here, and I think it's always really good to do that. So let's go ahead and show some artwork. I'm gonna go back to
let's see it.
Yeah, Marty's put up a file manager screen, so we can't see what he's doing. So let's check it out.
You can't see my screen now?
Oh, we can see. Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
Can you zoom in? Zoom in.
That is awesome.
It's just doing save now. Just give it a sec.
Okay.
And I'll give you this thing full size.
This.
I like the white.
The rim lighting and the highlights.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now this is really quick.
This is quick. He's put inks, colors. It's just like, Jamie, are you in awe? I'm in awe.
I love it. I love it. He's such a talented guy.
Yeah, it reminds me of the classic '80s Hulk, the Bob Layton.
But again, there's a lot of technical knowledge here, if I may. I think we'll finish it.
Please.
First of all, I did it. I went right away into inks, and people can see that how I played with it. It's not perfect, and I would normally put more time. But okay, so you see that the lines here are thicker than they are here. I used a bit of red and green, so that's color theory. I put now notice I see that in a lot of art. Do you see that I put the red in the shadows?
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice the red.
What I see people drawing, even professional ones, they draw it according to areas, like it's a coloring book. So the pants are going to be red, and this is going to be blue, and this is going to be this. But in reality, the whole world is a mirror, and things are bouncing off. I could create here if I wanted to. I could create a rim light all the way here if I had time. But the basic idea is, so there's color theory. Now, I know a lot about the muscles. I really know about the muscles of the face. Of course, the teeth are built, and I did it really quick. But we have a muscle that affects everything. So you need to know how the sternocleidomastoid is connected. You need to know the muscles. Even if you don't know their names, I know all their names. Some of them are in my active vocabulary. Some of them are in my passive vocabulary. but I know how the muscles are connected and what's happening and how the teeth work and how the jaw unhinges when it opens and all kinds of stuff like that, how the ear is built and so forth and so forth. The more you know, the more you can play with it. But you have to have the knowledge of anatomy to draw. So there's a lot of knowledge here about light stuff. So even if it's only a 10-minute sketch, there's a lot of technique here. And if you want to be good, you should learn anatomy, chiaroscuro, which is doing shadows and black and white, color theory. Notice the diagonal design to make it more dynamic. So there's a lot of stuff here, and I could probably, this is just a beginning sketch. Probably I could make the mouth better. It should be lower some parts, and I see mistakes in the cheek, but this is a quick sketch. And this would be the basis for me of showing somebody a cover. Let's say I was working with someone and say, this is what I want to do. Say, okay, now I would go realistic on it. And there's a lot of knowledge here how the muscles are contracted and things that to do and how the fats around the eye happen, and a lot of knowledge here that you have to know anatomy. And the more you know, the better it'll be.
That's awesome.
Speaking truth, I think that's the whole thing. It's like going back to what was said earlier in terms of you have to know you have to have a solid foundation.
That's right.
You have to
I even drew the trapezius here. You can look at it. See, I know that this is the trapezius, right?
Yes.
Right. Probably should be a bit bigger, so I can always correct. But again, that's not critical. The critical thing is to understand is that you have to know to do the work. It's not just talent.
Yeah, and that's like I said, it's like you have to know the foundation, you have to know the fundamentals before you can kind of like break, use them effectively, or even break the rules. Whether you exaggerate it more or things like that. But I totally get that. That's all just more nuggets of great advice from Marty. And you know what? The discussion we talked about the Hulk, apparently it resonated with a lot of our audience again. So I really want to share some of this fantastic.
Share away.
Yeah, let's look at this.
Share away.
So here we got Sarah, and
very nice, Sarah.
So she's like done her version of the Hulk. Now, just to give you a little background on Sarah, Sarah does a lot of she's very heavily inspired by manga, anime, and Disney. So you'll see a little bit of that influence in her artwork, and she's just a really great talent. So there's Sarah, and then
Sarah, I like the detail of the proportions. The proportions are right, Sarah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I agree. I couldn't agree more. Let's look at. We're gonna go up one more, and we have this incredible Hulk from Roy. Roy is also one of those artists that is he likes to do less is more. Try and do as few strokes as possible to convey.
But again, emotion. He knows his anatomy. Notice how he drew the ridge muscle on his left hand, which should go into the thumb. So he's aware of the ridge muscle. There's two of them: the extensor carpi longus and brachioradialis. So he's aware of them. He's also done. You can really see that. He knows the digitorum, the muscle, and he knows, and he's hinting at the deltoids. You can even see the clavicles. So if you're going to draw the Hulk, this guy knows anatomy.
He does. He does.
And I see so many arts. The Hulk is all about anatomy, and people drawing with incorrect anatomy, and it just looks horrible. So there's a lot of knowledge here. It's very free flowing. I just love it. I think the lines here are just superb. Lots of talent. Yeah. And what I wanted to say, there's a story here. Something's happening.
Right.
Getting out of something. It's interesting. Very interesting.
And he did he did what you did too. He put it on a diagonal, which adds a bit of drama to it. And like is he emerging from like getting ready to smash somebody? And he didn't have to like do this total rage face where his mouth is open, but you can see like the simmering anger that's like
maybe he was thrown into something and he's pissed and he's going to come out and going to hit somebody. It's going to be wild. Very nice. Very nice.
And it's going to get wilder because here we got another Hulk here from Maverick.
Very nice. Notice the veins he did.
And I like
texture.
Great texture.
I like how he kind of he is he's not completely roided out yet. He's still massive, but I like how it's not like he's to me, I look at this and he's like almost in that stage where he's, especially with those broken lines that are like kind of wavy. He's like still he's not finished with his transformation.
He's morphing. Yeah. Yes. The eyes also, like in the old TV show Hulk, that he used to have those eyes when he morphed. So he's just between Bruce Banner and the Hulk. That's amazing.
Oh, very cool.
I like there's a lot of mystery here too. He is definitely telling a story visual storyteller, which is great. Good job, Maverick.
Man, I think Jamie, when you're ready to tell your Hulk story, you might want to recruit some of these artists that we have on the art show to help tell your story. And then we have his brother Marius. Look at the drama.
Oh, he's a master of shadow. Really good.
Yeah.
That dot of the eye just adds so much.
Yes. The mood there is just unbelievable. It looks like he just got finished destroying everything, and now he's in quiet repose. Great storytelling elements here.
Yep. And you don't know if he's smiling, he's angry, or what. So it's really mysterious.
Yeah.
And again, notice the anatomy. Notice the anatomy. How he's hinting to the muscles of the chest, including the serrations there that's in the middle. You can see the deltoids. You can see a vein on his left. There's a lot of knowledge here that it looks to lift by accident, but it's not. You can see the vein that's going throughout. So he put some time into this. You can see the serratus anterior muscles, which go with the external oblique. So there's a lot of knowledge. We can see the trapezius up top. So this guy knows what he's doing.
Yes, everything that Marius does is intentional, 100% intentional. Very cool work.
And it blows me away. It's a 10-minute sketch.
Yeah, and I guess that's another beauty of digital artwork is that you can do this type of thing really quickly. But yeah, I think that's all that participated in the Hulk drawing challenge. So let me unshare this. Great work, guys. Yeah.
Super job.
Definitely. Yeah, wonderful. Really fun.
All right, so let me round this out and let me share mine real quick. I feel like
I
don't even know if I want to share mine.
Oh, come on.
Seeing the quality of what we got here. Whoop. So here we go. All right, so here's my quick.
Wow. Wow, that is nuts. Your line is
that
amazing.
Is crazy.
It just wow, that is so powerful. I love it. There's what you said about me before, Jamie. I think it's double when it comes to Gerald. There's some raw power to his work. If I was an inker, that would be really a challenge because your lines have so much power in them.
You guys flatter me because I actually get criticized the most about my lines. They're pretty much wonky. They're not consistent. They're everywhere. I overdraw, but I like to try and capture the energy. And you guys, thank you so much. That just goes to show when I'm listening to you, the two of you talk, I'm inspired by what I hear. And I'm from, I liked the old school, well, not old school, the night is the 80s and 90s McFarlane Hulk. I kind of had that kind of.
Great.
Oh, that was, that's a really interesting point where he jumped off. The McFarlane Hulk was really dynamic, and I hadn't seen the Hulk look like that. Really interesting. I like the eyeballs.
Yeah, and he made him also. Todd also made him big in the sense that not in small panels. He said he had a writer do him in small panels. Says, we can't do the Hulk, and he always had him bent over like this, so he looks heavy. There's weight and mass to him, and that's by the way, Todd's an amazing storyteller and an amazing inker.
Yeah,
he would enjoy inking this, by the way.
Yeah,
he is an amazing inker. He really is, and the one thing that I like about Todd McFarlane, whether you like Spawn or you don't like Spawn or whatever, the one thing I like about him is storytelling is at the forefront, always. Right. With like Greg Capullo, all those guys that he uses, It's all about the storytelling, and they are all fantastic artists that he puts on his books.
By the way,
Yeah, I was gonna.
he also asks his artists, "What do you want to draw?"
Right.
And brings out the best out of them.
And
He said, "I'll
that
write
was
the stories for you."
that was actually a follow up question I was going to ask Jamie before, we move out to the Oscar speech part of the show. Is that who are your Jamie? Who are your writing heroes? Like who, if you could say who influenced you, and then of course who you'd like to collaborate with. Who are some authors that really made you say, "Hey, I want to write too"? Would you
Well,
like to
I
write?
had talked about David Michelini. He was my childhood hero. I sent him a fan uh, letter on Facebook, and he responded to it. And we've been friends ever since. And also, I put out an anthology, and David, a prose anthology, David wrote a story for it that won a Pulp Award for Best Story of the Year. And then
Whoa!
David shared with me that he had never won an award before that. So I kind of helped instigate that, which made me feel wonderful. And
Yes.
I got to meet him at the convention, and my wife and my son and I took him out to dinner.
Talk about a dream come true type thing. You get to work with somebody who inspired you, and then you help
Yeah.
get an award together. I mean, that's amazing. Amazing
And
story.
we've stayed in touch since then. And he's a great guy. And he's
He
told me
is.
lots of stories over the years about Bob Layton and Todd McFarlane and, all these different people that I've never met. So he's a hero of mine and a guy I like to call friend. There's so many inspirations. I like Lovecraft. I like Stephen King. Uh, I like Shakespeare. I like Hemingway. I like a lot of the classic writers.
It's so good to hear that you have a mix of modern, contemporary as well as classical, writings that only makes your product, whatever you're working on, that much stronger because you can have appreciation for the new and the old. I noticed you didn't mention George R.R. Martin because you're probably just as disappointed with me as me that he hasn't finished Game of Thrones. What's up with that? But yeah, it's so good to hear your inspirations. And this is the part of the show where we're going to start rounding it out and winding it down. And I want to thank all of our guests, the two of you, as well as our audience that participate in these live drawings. Because if you're like me, it's always good to see what kind of connection when you can get a bunch of creators together to see what they come up with in such short term. Just vibing, hearing great stories. So let's move to the Oscar speech part of the show. And this is where I throw the mic back to you guys. And you basically can give your final thoughts. You can say your thank yous. You can wish for world peace. It's completely up to you. You give us your final thoughts.
Wow.
So that being said, let's go with Marty first, and then we'll end with Jamie. So Marty, the mic is in your hand.
Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me? Because my earplugs are starting to die out. I just want to say thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be on the show, and anything for Jamie, and that's all I'm going to say. He's just an amazing guy. That's it.
Oh, thank you. I want to say thank you to both of you. First of all, Gerald, you've been a personal help to me.
That's right.
And in a way, you've been a mentor to me, and I appreciate that. Marty is the same. He's been a mentor and a guiding hand. He actually introduced me to Harry Marcos of Marcosia, and I'm going to get my break because of that. So that's huge. I want to say thank you to John Howard, who's not here, who's
Amazing
a
artist.
fantastic artist. Nikki Sherman, the letterer. All of my friends on Facebook that have supported me, inspired me, and been a sounding board to me. You're all great. I want to also say thank you to my wife and my son who continually inspire me.
Well
Man,
said, friend.
I am getting misty-eyed here. Hearing that.
Well said.
It means a lot what you said to me. I never would put myself in any of that. The things that you mentioned about me, that means a lot. And that's the beauty of Comics Cast and Let It Out, is that we can share these portraits of these creators that I know and love now. And Jaime and Marty, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. I actually jumped the gun a little bit because I really wanted to talk about when we can expect, when the world can expect to see Liberator issue #1 come out. And we got to the Oscar speech already. So let's go back just a little bit. Jaime, do you want to talk a little bit? Like, do you have a anticipated date when you'd like to have?
I'm gonna say in a year. I think that that's a conservative estimate. John has other projects that he's working on as well, so we're getting the pages done. But it's going to probably be a year before Marcosia actually publishes it. But if you stay with your ear to my Facebook page, Liberator Graphic Novel Group, you'll see that I keep updating everything. Or if you just go to my Facebook page, Jaime Ramos, I put stuff there as well.
And so please, if you go into the comments field, I did put a link to the Facebook page for the Liberator, but you can also do what Jaime just said: follow, like, do the whole nine. Jaime and Marty, you'll be in the know. I'm gonna say 1 year from now, or whenever that book is ready to go, you're gonna both be on the show. Hopefully, we'll have John Howard as well. And when that issue is ready to debut, the invitation is open. And I think our audience would love to see the book in its complete form, and we're gonna plug the hell out of it. We're gonna make sure that everybody gets a copy of it, and when it's ready to go on sale, keep in touch with me. Let me know. I want to share that with our audience. Spread the word. Tell the world what the Liberator is about. We all want to be free. I want to be freed by the Liberator. So anyway, I'm getting like I said, I got a little weepy, a little misty-eyed here hearing your stories, and I appreciate everything you guys said. It makes my job here at Comics Cast completely worth it. Totally worth it, because I meet people like you. So that being said, let me I'm going to end the show like I usually do, or it's become quite a bit of a tradition. So let me share one more screen, and this is where I'm missing Rick, because Rick is always on top of this stuff, but I have to do it myself because I'm the only one here right now. So here we go. Let me pull this up.
The truth is, Rick didn't want to be on the show with me. We know the truth.
Here we go. So this is a charity group that we are so proud to be associated with. We are not financially tied to them in any way, shape, or form. We just love what they do. Their leadership is friends with our leadership, Joe Tolliver, and that group is called Golden Fight. Now, what is Golden Fight? Who is Golden Fight? Golden Fight is a charity organization that is big enough and small enough at the same time. Small enough in the sense that they are not wide-reaching. They're basically very focused in their geographic approach. They are in my neck of the woods, the Mid-Atlantic part of the United States, and that allows them to be huge. This allows them to be big. Their mission is to help families who have children that are dealing with difficult illnesses like cancer, and if anybody knows anybody that's been touched by that terrible disease, is that it becomes all-consuming. And for families that have to focus on the healing of their child, inevitably they will have financial difficulties, and that's where Golden Fight comes in. Golden Fight raises money for them, and I thought it was like 97 to 98% of that money they raised would go towards the family, with that like nominal 1-2%, which would help cover overhead. I was wrong. I stand corrected. 100% of the money they raise goes to those families. That's incredible. That is so awesome that there's organizations that do this. The leadership and many of their the people that work with them, they do it. It's voluntary. They do it out of the kindness of their hearts because they know what a terrible disease cancer is, and they're willing to put their time, their effort, their own money, their own resources to help raise money for these families. So please check out goldenfight.org. The URL is listed below. It is not like we want you to, if you wanted to consider giving to an organization, this is one organization to consider. But yeah, they're a very special group, and we just want to spread the word. So let me remove this real quick, and let me change the banner one more time to this. These guys, awesome. Follow them, like them, seek them out, commission them. I don't know. I just want you to be connected to them.
I want to be adopted personally, but
exactly. So if you're ever in Israel, give Marty a call. I'm sure that he'd love to meet up with you and talk comics.
Definitely.
Talk comics. And Jamie,
I'd be delighted.
Yeah, Jamie.
I'm looking for kidney donors.
There you go. So Jamie, special. Your story means so much to me. You have so many challenges that you've faced, and you've conquered them, and you're conquering them now. That means a lot. It's a great story, and I'm looking forward to more of your writings, more of your collaborations with talented artists, with Marty here. I'm waiting for all those new things that are going to be happening, and we're going to be proud to showcase it here at Comics Cast. So that being
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's here I am caught on flat-footed here. We're going to take it out right now.
So thank you so much, Jor-El.
Yeah,
you are the father of Superman.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So
you're the best. You did one heck of a job here.
Thank you. All right, so catch us out. We're going to take a break for next weekend because that's Thanksgiving weekend. I'm thankful for all of our viewers. I'm thankful for our guests like these guys. We will see you in December. So that being said, here we go.